Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to do another Keeping It Neutral episode. It's been a while and I'm quite enjoying creating this little series. And I thought for today I'd talk about contouring the eyes and kind of placement of eyeshadow to kind of work with your eye type, eye shape, or kind of what you're wanting to look, or what kind of style you want your eyes to look as well. It's kind of similar to contouring the face, which admittedly I don't really tend to do. I kind of want to try it again because I'm getting a bit inspired by Alexandra now. So I might actually pick up a contour product and potentially have a go at contouring my face again. But just like contouring the face, obviously different face shapes, there is some kind of recommendation for where you contour to kind of, depending on kind of what your face shape is like. It's very similar to the eyes. Of course, if you prefer eyes to look a certain way, then you can just do it the way you like. But I thought I'd give a few tips and tricks for this today. So I'm going to insert videos here and there of kind of the method I would take for certain eye looks, and then on my actual face right now I'll do one eye that I would recommend for kind of hooded eyes. I think that's kind of the most common question asked, and then I'm going to do this size, just kind of what I typically like to do style wise for my eye shape. I'd say for me it's partially hooded, but I don't think they're that hooded at all. I think I do have more of the almond shaped eyes. There is a little bit starting to kind of droop onto the lid, but I wouldn't say, in comparison to some people, I wouldn't say necessarily had hooded eyes as such. But yeah, so I am going to demonstrate using my Beauty Bay matte nude matte palette because that is kind of perfect palette for it. But I thought I would just quickly, before I demonstrate those kind of two on my eyes, I'll go through what kind of techniques I would use depending on your eye shape. So obviously, like contouring, the kind of more darker shades are going to create the shadow and kind of bring things back a bit with your eyes. So like we contour your face, you'll probably say for example you want to put it here, it's to obviously give the illusion you've got cheekbones, so it'll kind of bring this section in a bit, create a shadow that is kind of maybe thinner or narrower than it naturally is. It's the same principle in the eyes. If you've got something that you want bringing back, you want to use those darker colours to create a shadow and give the illusion that it's kind of deeper in that section. And then like you do with highlighting, where like see highlight under the eyes or tops of cheekbones or here, it's because you want to bring those bits forward to kind of bring those elements forward. It's the same with the eyes, to kind of bring elements forward or open up the eyes. You want to use those lighter colours to help with that kind of illusion, I guess you'd call it. But yeah, I just thought it might be quite handy. So, new matte palette. So like I said, hooded I'm going to demonstrate on this eye, and what I like to do on my eye I will demonstrate. But okay, so if you are someone that maybe has more close set eyes, I would recommend focusing the darker colours, and it can be, when I say darker, it can be browns, dark browns, it can be greys, it can be blacks. Like, it doesn't have to be a super dark colour either, it's just in contrast to the lighter colour, you want it to be slightly darker so it kind of creates that bit of shadow. So you're going to want to focus that mainly on the outer portion of the eye, and focus the lighter bit right in the centre. That way it's going to give the illusion that the eyes are slightly further apart than they are, a bit more open, a bit more wider, and it will kind of, yeah, just give the illusion that the eyes aren't quite as close as maybe they are, and just, yeah, really brightening up this inner corner will really help kind of give that illusion. And then you can just go nice and smoky on the outer portion to kind of help balance that out as well. If you've got maybe more down-turned eyes, your focus is going to be wanting to try and almost lift the eyes, give a bit of lift to the eyes. So doing that, I would take a bit of a darker shade, again on the outer portion, but I wouldn't bring it too far out. I keep it quite close to kind of where your lid stops and smoke up a bit. You could go in and do a bit of a winged shadow look, that would kind of help the lift, but to give something not so dramatic, kind of really focus the smoke on the outer portion, give it a slight angle, a slight lift, and that will help just give the overall effect that your eyes have got that lifted effect. And then just go in and pop the kind of lighter shade in the inner corner as well, just to help brighten it up. But the kind of primarily focus with the darker shades would be to focus on the smoke and kind of lift and kind of angle it slightly upwards this way across the eye. I'd bring it only like 2/3 the way across, and then yeah, kind of lift the eyeshadow like this, and it'll help give that illusion that your eyes are slightly more lifted if you do have more down turned eyes. Now if you've got deep set eyes, so obviously your lids are kind of really kind of protruding backwards, and it's more, and it looks like your socket is more prominent, or like kind of socket above is more prominent, you're going to want to use the darker shades to really knock that socket back, or knock the top bit back, so it gives the illusion of a bit less protruding. So yeah, go with your dark colours, kind of have a look at your eyes, see where that starts, that kind of protruding at the top starts coming out, and work the darker shades into that portion of your eye. And then to get the lids to kind of seem like they pop out a bit more, that's when you want to go in with your kind of lighter colours, your highlighting colours, to really bring the lids forward. And that way it's going to balance itself out, it's going to give the lids a bit more presence, it's going to make them a bit more open, and then yeah, give the illusion that your kind of your upper section is just a bit more pushed back, just to give that balance between the kind of lid and the socket and brow bone area. So yeah. Now if you've got protruding eyes, protruding lids, it's the opposite way, what you want to do is you can go really cool with the smoky eye actually. You want to just pop slightly darker, or whatever colours you're using for the shadowing, contouring bit, all over the lid. That's where it's going to make the illusion that it's a little bit less protruding, it's a bit more deep set. And then just kind of, I won't bring it too high up, just really focus more on the lid and just gently smoke into the socket area, and that will really help give that shadow and give the illusion that yeah, the lid is slightly more deep set than it is protruding. And yeah, you can really go for the smoky, kind of the all over dark smoky eyes. That will really suit you really nicely and look really cool. Okay, so on to doing it to my face. Like I said, they were quite quick tips and tricks. I'm hoping the video demonstration will enable that. And yeah, moving on to hooded and then what I do for myself. So I have prepped and primed my eyes. So I'm going to go in with kind of, I think, browns for this to demonstrate. So if you are someone who's got the hooded eyes, obviously kind of you're covering the lid slightly, the kind of brow bone socket is more noticeable, you haven't got much lid space. What you're going to want to do is take deeper shades higher up onto the, especially on the outer corner, higher up onto more above the socket, the brow bone, almost create your own socket or your own crease line to help give that illusion of a slightly bigger eye, more lid space. And then you're going to want to pack the lighter colour on the lid, but also bring it up just above the kind of crease or the hooded bit in the corner, because that again will give the illusion that that bit's a bit more open, you've got a bit more space to play with on the lid. So yeah, so let me demonstrate that. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to do the hooded one on this side, actually because partly this is probably the more slightly hooded version out of the two eyes. Like I said, you don't have to go super dark with the dark colours to create shadow, you just want to make sure there is a difference between the shade you're using for highlighting and the shade you're using for the contouring of the eyes. So I am actually going to, I'm going to go in with slow motion. I don't want anything too dark, I've decided. And what you want to do is you want to look directly in a mirror with your hooded eyes, see where, and place the darker shade where you can actually physically see it. So there's no point smoking here if you can't see it. If you can, then go for it, but if not, pick the place where you can actually see the colour and start creating a bit of a smoke there. You can almost create yourself a new socket. I'm actually purposely using a small tapered brush for this, so it'll give me a blend, but also give me a bit more precision. And it's kind of creating my own socket a little bit. Now I probably do want to diffuse it so it's not too harsh. But yeah, you just want to take it like probably right above your lid where you can actually visibly see it. I'm just going to go back across. And what this will do is it will push back that hoodedness, and it will push it back slightly. going to create that shadow, and like I said, it will just deep set that section a little bit more. So yes, the key is just look directly in the mirror, see where is visible above your lid section, and place the shadow, the darker shadow, there. I'm just going to take a little fluffy brush just to blend out. This will also be the same placement for the deep set eyes, so where your lids are kind of really deep set, this is the placement again where you want to put the darker shadows, because you want to bring the illusion that your kind of socket / brow bone is further back, so that will help bring the lids further forward. So roughly kind of the same placement. Okay, so we've got something like that. Now, depending on how much of the lid space you've got, I probably actually would leave the darkness there, because actually even if you've got some lid space here, you don't want to make it too dark. I'm going to bring it a little bit down just to kind of shape the eyes, but I'd focus more the shadow, yeah, above here. And then what you want to do is then focus, let me just find a, and you can use shimmers if you want to. I'm just kind of demonstrating mattes because I think it's an easy way to kind of demonstrate. So I'm using the shade and nothing else, it's the lightest one in this one. I'm also going to pack that onto the lid, and again, depending on your how kind of hooded the inner section is, bring it above. So bring it where it's also visible, because what it's going to do is going to really open up that inner section there. And yeah, open it up. Okay, so the placement, that's kind of what I would recommend placement wise for if you had hooded eyes. Just take a long look, see where the see which sections are actually visible. So the socket, brow bone area, put the darker shades there where you can actually see them to help kind of bring the hooded section look a bit more deep set, a bit further back, and then really use a lighter shade to brighten up the lid section. Bring it further up, especially in the inner corner, bring it slightly higher up, so it gives the illusion of slightly more lid space. It really opens and brightens the eyes, which I think is really pretty as well. If you had, so with this, if you had deep set eyes, which I was mentioning earlier, the placement of the shadow would be exactly the same. So you want to bring it so the socket area, the brow bone area is pushed back slightly, and then you want to take the highlighting shade almost all over the lid to kind of really bring the lid space forward, and just to kind of, yeah, balance out the kind of deep set lid with a protruding eyebrow bone. So that's how I would do it. Obviously, like I said, if you've got downturned eyes, so kind of a similar method here with where you put the placement of the highlighting shade and contouring shade. What I would do is probably for this, I'm just going to take my concealer brush, is I would, it doesn't have to be obviously winged up, I just add a bit of a lift on this outer portion, just to help lift the eye in general up. If you've got protruding eyes, like I said, just really, you can add that smoke to that lid, just to help bring them back a bit, make them a bit more deep set, and yeah, you can just go all over the lid with the contouring shade, not necessarily a dark shade, a contouring shade, to really help your eyes. And then if you've got close set eyes, again, this kind of lighter in the inner corner, smoky on the outer corner will help kind of give the illusion of a slightly further apart eyes. So yes, that was kind of my recommendations for the hooded eye section on this eye. Very simple, I've just used the two shades to kind of help simply demonstrate what I'm trying to get across. what I do like to do, I kind of like to do a similar method, to be fair, to the hooded eye look. So I do like to personally bring my darker shades into the crease to bring it back. I bring mine slightly further down than I would do if I hooded eye, because you can actually see my crease. So I don't need to bring it necessarily as high up. My brush just broke. For me, I like to also add that deepness onto the outer portion. I feel I've got enough lid space there to kind of add that deepness there, and it won't kind of close up my eyes. And then again, I'm taking the highlighting shade and I like to highlight my inner corners. And similar to actually the hooded method trick, I like bringing up the lighter shade above the crease, because I really love to open up my eyes and really kind of emphasise the inner corner. I just think it gives a brighter, more open eye look, which I really like. Those are just some of my kind of tips for helping contour your eyes for your particular eye shape. Obviously, if there's a certain way you do it that's not like the way I showed and you love doing it for your eyes, then obviously please continue doing it. Whatever works best for you, do. I just wanted to give a few, like I said, a few tips here and there to show how contouring the eyes will kind of help certain eye shapes. Like I said, very quick, very basic. I used 2 shades on my eyes just to demonstrate my point. And yeah, I hope you found this helpful and useful. Again, I'm very inspired at the moment by Alexandra Nell. She does a lot of kind of informative tutorial things as well as makeup looks, and I find her videos so useful, so I want to try and create more videos like that as well to help anyone out there for stuff like that. So if you've got any particular areas you'd like some kind of tips or tricks on, let me know down below, because I'll be more than happy to help. Like I said, I kept this quite simple, quite basic, but I hope it's demonstrated. I hope I've demonstrated what I was trying to get across well. Yeah, leave me any future requests down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.